Uh, First of all, thank you for coming here to the Intel session. It's great to be here at the AWS Summit in Mumbai. And I've been to quite a few AWS Summits this year and continuously amazed at the customer stories that I hear. And this one has raised the bar again. A bit about my role. I cover our alliance with AWS across Asia Pacific and Japan and focused on co-selling, marketing, and business development. We have a large team at Intel that is focused on and working with Amazon to design various EC2 instances and the services that you have. A large part of AWS infrastructure runs on Intel architecture. So for this session, it will be co-presented by myself and Akanksha Bilani. She's the head of Intel Software, and she'll join us soon on stage. Before I begin, in any Intel presentation where we talk about benchmarks, there is a legal disclaimer, which you can see here. But all the benchmarks that we share with you are publicly available, and we have prepared these hand in hand with AWS team. Now, the goal of the presentation is really simple. We want to share the products and technologies that Intel and AWS have developed that are available in the cloud for you to make and deploy scalable solutions. So having said that, let's get started. We'll talk about three things now. Intel and AWS collaboration from edge to cloud, Intel's AI portfolio and the technologies and frameworks that are available, and lastly, how you can take these technologies and solutions to deploy scalable solutions with end customers. There will be a common theme that will flow through the presentation, which is data. At Intel, we believe data is the new oil. And as you can see here, we want to power the compute, networking, and storage that goes in data center. We are making huge investments in networking and 5G technologies. At Intel, we have a group that is focused on Internet of Things, which is deploying Intel technologies right from farming equipment to ATM machines all the way to drones. We call this the virtuous cycle of growth, and AWS and Amazon are a perfect example of this Intel's strategy. On the top of this virtuous cycle, what you see here are the EC2 instances and the storage that is powered by Intel technology. Right at the bottom, devices like Amazon Echo, Show, Look are again running on Intel technologies like the 3D RealSense camera. Last year at reInvent, we announced DeepLens, which is the first programmable edge solution for vision inference, and we'll talk about this a bit more. Going back to the top of that virtuous cycle, where we talk about the data center, this graph here represents the vast majority of workloads that you see running in the data center mapped across memory and I/O intensity. And this is one of the regions, you see a huge variety here of different types of workloads, and this is one of the primary reasons why you see so many instance families within AWS. When AWS started in 2006, they just had two instances, EC2 for compute and S3 for storage. But over the years, as more and more workloads are running on cloud, they have developed a vast array of instances. And if I were to overlay this with the AWS instances, you can clearly see the multitude of options that are available on the cloud. Amongst these, I want to talk in detail about one particular instance, which is the C5 family here, perfectly suited for HPC workloads and running AI, deep learning, and inference in the cloud. So, C5 went into production late last year. It is now available across all regions in APAC and also in the Mumbai region. In the Mumbai region, the C5 instance is based on the new Skylake architecture from Intel. It has 2x the number of virtual CPUs versus the C4 instance family. When the C4 instance family was launched, it saw a huge adoption curve primarily because of the performance and the TCO benefits. The performance improvement from C4 to C5 is much larger than what we had in the previous generation, and we are seeing a similar demand here. When C5 was launched, and you can see a quote here from Dr. Matt Woods, we found 100x improvement in deep learning edge inference with the C5 instance family. And this was primarily driven, one, by the compute power that the Skylake architecture gets into the platform, and secondly, the optimizations, software optimizations that we had done within the C5 instance family. So what is cool about C5 instance family and why you should adopt it? One of the key things when people look at new instances is TCO and cost benefit. We have worked with a company called TSO Logic. They are based out of US, and they specialize in analyzing the cost of running your workload on-prem and what would it cost if you were to migrate onto the cloud. And they did this analysis over hundreds and thousands of customers. They also look at if you are running your workload on a particular instance family, say C4, what could you save by moving to C5 or X1 or other instance families? So when they did this analysis last year, they found about 25% of their customers would end up saving approximately 20 to 30% in cost just by migrating from C4 to C5 without any code optimization. So it's a huge benefit for end customers, and all of you who are looking at running workloads in cloud, I would request you to seriously consider the C5 instance family. The table that you see here, it's an eye chart, but it's pretty simple. Each of these line items compares the cost of running a workload on C4 versus C5, and the last column gives you the cost delta. And you can see off the bat, without any optimization, just by migrating the workload, you would get 15% lower cost when you're running on C5. We have spoken quite a bit about libraries and software optimization, and one framework or library that I want to talk to you about and share here is the Intel Math Kernel library. This is specifically designed to optimize your code to run on Intel architecture, and these are the various benchmarks, especially for edge inference, where you see 7x to 10x improvement when you have optimized your code using our software tools. And Akanksha will talk a lot more about these in a couple of foils. So in a nutshell, to summarize, AWS has the latest instances running on Intel architecture that are available in the Mumbai region. As you are building your workloads, consider the total cost, performance in a POC stage before you look at full production deployments. Lastly, at the bottom of that virtuous cycle of growth and the partnership with Intel, we have designed many products, as I said, like Deep Lens and Echo. And I'm particularly excited about Deep Lens and the capabilities that it brings for developers. So Deep Lens, those of you who don't know, runs on Intel Atom Silicon. It has an SoC. It comes integrated with a CPU, GPU, and an image processing unit, and hence you get those capabilities of edge inference on a mobile kind of a device. It is pre-configured to run Greengrass, so off the bat you can enable a lot of AWS services at the edge. And it has enough headroom and compute capabilities available to let you run DNNs at the edge. So having said that, the key takeaway is we have partnered with AWS on a lot of solutions at the edge, of course in the cloud. Take a look at various options, consider the total performance and the cost before you build your solutions. Having said that, I would like to invite Akanksha, who heads our Intel software division, to talk about some of the frameworks. Thank you.